Moving along now, we're going to go into the Japanese Type 99 rifle. The Japanese actually started the war, or were at war, very early in 1933, and they realized that the 6.5 rifle, though a lot of countries fielded it, the Italians had 6.5s, I think the Greeks, Romanians used them, and of course the Swedes, the 6.5 Swedish, which is still a very popular cartridge and used to this day in sporting arms, was still in use. They realized that while the U.S. had the 30-06 and the 8mm, they needed a new cartridge. So the first big thing with the Type 99 was they introduced the 7.7 cartridge, which was a larger cartridge, had a bullet diameter very close to the British 303, and here it is next to the 6.5 to give you an example. The Japanese military felt they needed a more powerful cartridge to be on par with the people they intended to go to war with. So in 1938 they started production of the Type 99 rifle, and I have two examples here. I have a mid-war and kind of a later war gun, and I'll do a side-by-side on them. But first, as compared to the Type 38, I'll go over the major differences, and I'll do it with this one here, the nicer condition one, the one that was made earlier. Basically, it's the same thing, just an upscaled version. You have your bolt release, the same, a little bit different. The 38 has two screws from the bottom. This has one screw from the top, but it works on the same principle. You pull it out Mauser style and it works. The bolt cocks on the closing action, same thing, just kind of a bigger thing. And as you see here, the receiver has this kind of opened up cut here, where I'll take my Model 38. As you see, the Model 38 is machined over and has this trying to do this, has this piece, this section here is removed, and the safety knob is the same on this one, much like our carbine, just has a notch on it, and then it has a metal butt plate which is stamped, other than the solid one. It's like a stamped out cap. Also, another thing is they wanted rapid production, lower cost. Even on the earlier versions, the finish is not the same quality. The quality of the wood is different. And another major change was the floor plate release. Like we've seen on the Model 38s, this one has pretty simple, you pull that back. But on the Type 99, it is permanently pinned into the lower trigger guard frame, so you don't lose this. Okay, it's pinned in there, it won't come out. That was something they corrected, because like I said, I see a lot of the Type 30s with with that floor plate missing. Also, and I'll go over the different other features, this is where the monopod goes. If you look closely, you notice there's tool marks. They didn't do a lot of stuff machining wise. It's not as machined. They were blued and fairly finished well. And they also, this one, if you can't see, it has a chrome bore, and you can see from the end of the muzzle, that little shiny, it has a chrome plated bore, which helps on wear and corrosion, which a lot of the 38s that have been used are rusty and rusted out. Now, some of the other features it has are the sights were a little different. These did come with a dust cover, just like all the Japanese guns. And you very rarely find them with dust covers on. So much so that they do make repros of them. And I may dress this gun up and get a dust cover and a repro sling and that. What I did add is on the rear sight, on this gun, which is another feature which a lot of people wonder the use of it, is the anti-aircraft wings. How that works is you had some notches and numbers, and you'd aim the gun and then use the wings to get the lead and estimate the speed to shoot at an aircraft. Basically, I don't know how useful it is. It's just another little addition to give the troops confidence, I guess. This gun didn't come with them. I bought a set of reproduction ones to put on there. I may in the future get the dust cover and a sling and dress this gun up, just, you know, as an example. I'm not really into being a detailed collector of Japanese guns. Also here, this is where the wire monopod went. And again, it's another item you could buy as repro. You never find them. They are pretty flimsy. It's just a metal rod. It stands on one leg and something that gets bent and broken. A lot of those, you'll never really see them much on these guns. Now, I'll go over the action with you here in a second, give you a close-up of that, and then I'll do a comparison between this one and the late war. Okay, basically, same action. Like I said, a little bit difference to the machining, some machining steps. Milled for stripper clips, and though you can't get original Japanese stripper clips, the Springfield 30-06 stripper clips will work. That's what I have here. Just an old Springfield clip, and they seem to fit in there quite, well, almost quite well. A little loose, but then and that's it. Now if you want to unload the gun, drop the thing out, and the cartridges come out. Alright, go unload it. And like I said, that's pinned in, so that will stay put and not get lost, which was a problem with the other ones. And they simplified it. Instead of, they put the button up high also. You see it's up here, up in the top of the trigger guard, not down below, like where your finger can hit it or something. So that was a design change. And then to get a better look at these sights, you know, I was trying to do that one-handed. I shouldn't have. Got your aircraft sights on there, which is interesting. I had several of these guns way back when I was in high school in the 70s. And they were not, the common ones that were ground and everything were not very collectible. And their gun dealers were happier than hell you took them. And I only paid like $10, $15 for them. The thing is, I never shot them. I owned all these rifles, these different Japanese rifles, but I never fired any of them because the ammunition was so expensive. You can go to the department store and buy a box of 30-30 shells for like $2 or $3, where the only people that made ammo for this was Norma, and was like $20 a box, which for a teenager is quite expensive. $1 a round, you know, when surplus ammunition was dirt cheap. Oh, and this, like I said, this still has the same safety feature, same button, much like the carbine. Put it in with your palm and turn it. And also on these early ones, if you take this off, some of them have a long bayonet or a long cleaning rod, and like this particular model, I don't know what the deal is with this. You unscrew it. It only has like a cleaning rod, a section of cleaning rod, this here. This little short thing. That is the way it was made. I am not sure about that. I've seen ones that have a full-length cleaning rod, and the late war ones don't have a cleaning rod at all or any provision for it. And they added this little protected sight feature on there, which I believe it's on the carbine, but it's not on the rifle. we'll do a side-by-side comparison of this one and the late war one and look at some of the features on these two guns. Okay, for our side-by-side comparisons to show you the difference. Like I said, with the Type 38, we had buttstocks that were machined, solid steel. In the mid-war or the beginning, these are stamped, like a stamping. It's cupped out. And as the war progressed, they ran out of steel. They have just a wooden plate in place. Also the wood, as we see on the early Japanese rifles, there was some time to finish the wood, sand it. And as we get, somebody I think sanded this gun and cleaned it up, because a lot of them I had were pretty rough. And then they start getting into where, you know, late war, the later they are made during the war, the worse they get. You know, this here is pretty rugged. And I guess the quality of the wood, here's your recoil lug. You notice they start getting larger, because I think the wood quality is kind of nasty. And the early ones had the complicated sight. They had this barrel band with the monopod. And this, you have this piece that comes off with two screws, another little metal plate under there, and the bayonet lug, to where they just welded them on, and there's a pin, I think, because I've seen these. These are just welded right on, and again, there's no provision for a cleaning rod whatsoever, and it's welded and pinned on, much like the rear barrel band. Again, welded, just a stamped piece of metal welded, stamped together. And the wood, finish on the wood gets worse. Simplified rear sight. No elevation, just a peep sight. Like that. That's all it is. Let's try to get a look at it. There you go. Simplified front sight. And now the transition. I see on like the Type 38, there's no guard around the sight. These have a guard, that way the sight can't be damaged. That's what that does there. And in the late war, they go to where they don't bother with that. The guard's missing. Finishes, machining finish, like tool marks on this are evident. They didn't worry about finishing the quality of the finish, where you can see all them rough tool marks from the lathe work. Where, you know, this is almost Type 38s were almost commercial grade. And the early Type 99s were fairly decent. They did have some rough tool marks. The Type 99 was a mass production gun. And you know, as the war progressed, the finish, quality, though this one still is cut for the dust cover. They still put the dust cover on this gun at that time, evident by that lip milled in there. But I think some of the real late war ones, they even stopped doing that. You know, where this one had a dust cover thing milled in there. And you know, like I said, the whole quality, the metal finish and everything is a lot worse. The wood isn't as nice. And you could also tell the fancy knurled edge on the back on the safety knob is gone. It just stamped and welded right on there. You know, the finish is a little bit cruder. And one thing about these Japanese rifles, for some reason they used to peen over the screws. So if you try to disassemble these, it could be difficult getting these screws out, and you can damage them before they'll come out. And you don't want to do that, so be careful when disassembling. Also, take a look at the cocking knob. See, that one's still machined fairly well in that. That one there's a little bit different, thinner I think, lighter. And like I said, no knurled thing on the safety knob. Simplified rear sight, the wing and the ladder's gone as compared to this complex little thing with screws and aircraft wings. And where that's probably a milled piece out of a solid piece of steel, we get to where it's welded. Also the finishing it it's like on the wood. So basically that's your type. And as the war progresses, these later year ones get worse and worse. Towards the end of the war, they're pretty, I don't know if some of them they say are not safe to shoot, but this one I think's all right. And also this rifle here, the late war one, does not have a chrome line bore in it. They stopped chrome lining the bore. And we'll take a look at the butt plates. Show you the wood and the steel. That was basically the standard on the 99s, and when you got down there they just put the wood there. I guess the Japanese had problems with steel and that. Another thing about these guns is I did take them out and shoot the 99s. They make bullets. You can get reloading components from, and that's where basically these are from Serbia. The bullets are Hornadies. They like to go about 310, 311, same as a British 303. The brass cases are from Serbia. They're quite reasonable, so you can reload your own ammo at a reasonable cost. But the only thing is, when I slugged the bore on both of these guns, the bore came out to 315, not very close to 311. And I think it's just in the manufacturing process. You got to remember, they're mass-produced guns. They're made just to shoot, and the accuracy is affected a little bit. But I'll get into that later and how we're going to work up some loads for that. So basically, there's your kind of progression of Japanese rifles up to the Type 99. If you have any questions, or if I didn't do these videos quite well enough, you want to look at them closer, I can redo them or refine. I try to do the best I can by myself. I know some of the handling's a little off, but there you go on Japanese rifles. And then I'll do a video on shooting them and reloading for each caliber.